Based on my experience in dealing with both King Hamad when he was Crown Prince and with Prime Minister Khalifa, that the royal family has mixed reviews from the population of Bahrain. I think the king is popular, but the king is a different kind of personality from his uncle, the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is very tough. He has a reputation of not tolerating dissent. And my guess is that there was a serious dispute within the family as to how to deal with this, and the Prime Minister won out, probably thinks of the king, his nephew, as being a bit weak-kneed.
So are we seeing a power struggle then within the higher echelons of Bahraini society?
Well, certainly a struggle as to what the policy response of the government will be. And so far, one would have to say that the views of the Prime Minister, which is to meet this with force, to meet this, to be unyielding in terms of political concessions, that so far the Prime Minister's view has prevailed.
How is it going to be possible to resolve this if the Prime Minister, going by what you're suggesting, wants to use force to put down this uprising, for want of a better word, and other members of the royal family want dialogue? How can some kind of middle ground be found?
Well, the United States, United Kingdom, other governments that have close relationships with the government of Bahrain are not without influence here. And the United States in particular has a lot of influence with the Bahraini military, not with the police, but with the military. And it's to be hoped that that kind of influence, plus a long record of close consultations between senior U.S. Leaders and senior Bahraini leaders, might induce them to introduce the kind of political reforms that would provide economic concessions and more political power sharing for the Shia part of the population.
And if the United States managed to get Bahrain to go down that track, would that be the end of the Prime Minister's time at the top?
I'm not sure. Family politics within the Al Khalifa, the ruling family, are very complicated. And the Prime Minister always seemed to be able to escape retribution from his brother, the former ruler, Sheikh Isa, and now from his nephew, King Hamad. King Hamad did choose his own son as Crown Prince. He passed over his uncle, who might have liked to be the Crown Prince. However, at the end of the day, there will be lots of members of the ruling Al Khalifa family who want to have a tough and unyielding approach to the Shia, and they will be joined by a lot of people in the military and police, where almost 100% of the military and police are Sunni Bahrainis. So you see, there is a sectarian element involved here that was not involved in Egypt, that was not involved in Tunisia.
Mr. Ambassador, I don't know whether you've got time to listen to the next guest we have on the programme, but if you have, I'd love to hear from you afterwards. If not, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to talk to Abdul Jalil Khalil Ibrahim, who is leader of the Wifaq opposition party, which is now withdrawn from Parliament. Just had an emergency meeting. Can you tell me what was discussed at this meeting?
We haven't attended any meeting yet. We heard, through the TV that the Crown Prince now is cheering a dialogue between different groups. But people now in Bahrain don't see any language of dialogue on the ground. What they see is bullets and killing of people. I just came from Salmania Hospital, intensive care unit. You know how many people admitted to the hospital? Now reached to 55 people injured. Out of 55, there are at least 2 in critical conditions. One of them is already, I think, dead because there is a bullet inside his brain. I have seen the X-ray. Today, people just moved, finished their march, you know, after burying one martyr. Then they go try to make a small demonstration. Then people get gathered in the street for a demonstration. Then the army, Bahrain Defense Force, you know, shot them. Like blindly, you know. They want to kill anybody. This is the language in Bahrain now. That's why the most popular figure in Bahrain sent a call today asking the international bodies to protect Bahraini people from this government.
When the Crown Prince says now is the time to talk and we can talk any time about what's happened.
Not the Prime Minister.
No,
the Crown Prince.
Absolutely, the Crown Prince. Forgive me if I said Prime Minister. I thought I said Crown Prince.
Half an hour ago.
Yeah, we see him on our screens now. When he asks for talks, dialogue, are you prepared to sit down and have those talks?
I don't think anybody will accept such call while the people killing on the street. If they are serious, really, they have to pull their police and army forces from the streets. And by the way, the Bahrain security forces, they are not Bahraini. They are employed. They are from Pakistan, Balochistan, from far, you know, countries, brought, employed for Bahraini forces to kill anybody.
Can I ask you this? We've just been talking to the former ambassador to the region, American ambassador.
Yes.
And I detected in our conversation that he perhaps saw a division within the royal family, that perhaps the Prime Minister was more inclined to be hard-line and perhaps had urged the troops to do what they did, that he was more hard-line than the Crown Prince, who's now suggesting it's time for talks. Do you see a split in the royal family?
Honestly, I heard such stories. But what I see a decision being made from the royal family. If there is any, you know, differences between Prime Minister, who is the uncle of the king, or from the Crown Prince, or of the right hand of the king, which is Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed. Because there are nowadays, we have at least 3 places making the decision. The Prime Minister, the Crown Prince, and the court. But what really concerns me is the outcome decision, who is killing people on the street. I don't care if it is coming from the Crown Prince, or the Prime Minister, or from the King. People started their demonstration peacefully, hanging Bahraini flag, asking for real political initiative. They started like this. But after seeing people being killed, now some of voices we hear to overthrow the government. No chance to talk with anybody.